Today, we're going to turn you into a bit of a document detective. We're talking about the critical skill of spotting a forged signature. Now, this isn't some abstract idea. It's a real-world threat that could affect a personal check, a business contract, or even the deed to your house. By the time we're done here, you'll know exactly what red flags to look for. So, let me ask you something. Imagine a crucial document is sitting right in front of you. Maybe it's a will, a big contract, an agreement, and your entire future, your savings, everything, depends on whether that signature at the bottom is real. Could you tell if it was a fake? The stakes are way higher than most of us realize. Look, we're not just talking about spotting some clumsy copycat signature here. Signature forgery is a serious crime, and it has absolutely devastating consequences that can flip lives and businesses upside down in the blink of an eye. You know, the ripple effect of a single fake signature is just massive. It can completely invalidate a legal contract, spark bitter property disputes, and open the door to huge corporate fraud. A fake signature on a will? It can tear a family apart. One on a check can drain an entire bank account. This is a global problem, and you see it everywhere, like in Kenya, where land transactions are constantly at risk because of this very issue. So how do we start spotting these things? Well, the first step is to get inside the criminal's head, right? You gotta understand their playbook. Forgers generally stick to four main techniques, and once you know what they are, detection gets a whole lot easier. All right, first up, we have the most common trick in the book, simulated forgery. This is where the forger actually has a real signature to look at. They're trying to copy it meticulously, either by tracing it or just looking at it and drawing it freehand. And the key word there is drawing. Remember that because we're definitely coming back to it. Next up, there's freehand forgery. This one's a little bolder, a little more gutsy. The forger doesn't have an original signature in front of them to copy. Nope, they're just going from memory, trying to recall what it looks like. As you can probably guess, this almost always leads to huge and, frankly, often pretty obvious mistakes. Of course, with modern technology comes modern crime, and that brings us to the transplanted signature. Think of this as a high-tech digital cut-and-paste job. A real signature gets scanned, lifted from one document, and just dropped onto another. It can look incredibly convincing at first glance. Now this last one, this one's a fascinating and sneaky little twist. It's called auto-forgery. This is when the actual person signing the document intentionally messes up their own signature. Why on earth would they do that? Simple. So they can turn around later and claim, hey, that's not my signature. I never signed that thing. It's a pre-planned act of deception by the signer themselves. Okay, so we know the methods. Now for the fun part. Let's put on our detective hats and look for the clues. Because here's the thing, forgers almost always leave behind little breadcrumbs, telltale signs of their work. Think about how you sign your name. It's automatic, right? It's fluid, it's muscle memory, but a forger doesn't have that. They're drawing it slowly and carefully, and that intense concentration leaves evidence. You'll see tiny tremors or shakiness in the lines, unnatural spots where they lifted the pen, and even little touch-ups where they tried to fix a mistake. It really all boils down to one simple idea: flow versus force. A real signature flows. It's quick, it's confident, and the pressure on the pen changes naturally. A forgery is forced. It looks drawn, hesitant, and sometimes it can look almost too perfect, you know? It's missing that natural living rhythm. And here's the best part. You don't need some high-tech crime lab to do a first-pass investigation. Your basic detective kit is simple stuff. A good magnifying glass to spot those tiny tremors. A strong light, like from your phone, held at an angle to see indentations. And the most important tool of all, several known, genuine signatures from that person to compare against. But, and this is a really important but, there's a limit to what we can do on our own. Our detective work is great for spotting red flags, but there are definitely times when the stakes are just too high, and you absolutely have to bring in a certified forensic document examiner. Let's talk about when to make that call. So, what's the tipping point? When do you need to hang up your magnifying glass, step back, and call in the pros? When does it become non-negotiable? The rule of thumb is pretty simple. If there's serious money or legal trouble on the line, you call an expert. Period. We're talking about documents for a court case, anything involving high-value property, a disputed will, or a major business contract. Why? Because only an expert's analysis and report can be used as admissible evidence in court. And what do these experts bring to the table? Well, they've got some seriously cool tech that goes way beyond a magnifying glass. They use things like a video spectral comparator, which can tell if different inks were used on the same page. They also use an electrostatic detection apparatus, which can actually reveal indented writing from pages that were underneath, proving a signature was traced. And when you do call in an expert, it's not just some random opinion. It's a rigorous scientific process. It starts with a consultation. Then they collect the questionable document and plenty of genuine samples for comparison. After that comes the deep forensic analysis, which results in a detailed report. And if it goes to court, they'll be there to testify as an expert witness. Okay, we've talked a ton about detection, which is great, it's crucial, but you know what's even better? Prevention. So for our final section, let's talk about how you can protect your own signature, how to secure the scene before a crime ever has a chance to happen. So let's break this down into some super practical tips. For you, personally, try to develop a signature that's a bit more complex and unique. And for really important documents, always insist on having a witness. And for businesses, it's all about systems, things like requiring 2 signatures for big transactions, training your staff to spot these red flags, and doing regular document audits. At the end of the day, your signature is so much more than just ink on paper. It's your word, it's your agreement, it's your bond. So after all this, the final question really is for you. How well is yours protected?